Captain Dae-hyun stared at the navigation screen with growing confusion. The numbers made no sense. They should have arrived near Proxima Centauri, humanity's first attempt at faster-than-light travel. Instead, his ship floated in empty space, with stars he had never seen before. Dr. Hye-jin, can you explain this? Dae-hyun asked his science officer. The woman pushed her glasses up her nose and frowned at her instruments. Captain, we are not where we should be. The solar flare must have affected our jump. We traveled much farther than planned. How much farther? About 400 light-years. Dae-hyun rubbed his forehead. The Soul's Pride was humanity's most advanced ship, but it carried supplies for a short trip to the nearest star. Now they were lost in unknown space with 200 crew members depending on him. Sir! Commander Taeho called from his station. We have multiple contacts approaching, very large ships. The main screen flickered to life. Dae-hyun's jaw dropped. Massive vessels, each one bigger than a city, moved toward them. The ships looked like nothing humans had ever built. Sharp angles and strange curves covered their hulls. Some glowed with blue light, others pulsed red. Are they fighting each other? Asked engineer Yoon-B. She was right. The giant ships fired weapons at each other. Beams of energy lit up the darkness. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers between the fleets. Captain, Hee-jin said quietly, I count over 300 ships. Each one is at least 10 times larger than ours. Before Dae-hyun could respond, his communication system crackled to life. A harsh voice spoke in perfect Korean, though the accent was strange. Unknown vessel, you have entered stellar Dominion space during military operations. Surrender immediately or face destruction. Almost at the same time, another voice broke, through on a different frequency. This one sounded different, like gravel mixed with wind. Small ship, you are now property of the hegemony. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your termination. The bridge fell silent. 200 humans hung in space between alien fleets that could crush them without effort. Each side demanded their surrender. Each side threatened to destroy them. Tae-ho looked at his captain. Sir, what are your orders? Dae-hyun studied the massive ships on his screen. Any one of them could vaporize the Soul's Pride without slowing down. The smart thing would be to pick a side and hope for mercy. The safe thing would be to surrender and beg for their lives. Instead, Dae-hyun opened a channel to both fleets. This is Captain Dae-hyun of the human ship Soul's Pride. We are not involved in your fight. We are just passing through. Please continue with whatever you were doing. He closed the channel and turned to his crew. Yoon-B, start scanning for asteroid fields or planets with useful materials. We need to find fuel and supplies. Captain, Hye-jin whispered, did you just ignore them? They are busy fighting each other. We have our own problems to solve. The alien fleet seemed as confused as his science officer. Both sides went quiet for several minutes. The Soul's Pride continued its scans, treating the massive battle like background noise. Yoon-B found what they needed. Captain, there is a rich asteroid field 2 million kilometers away. Plenty of metals and ice. Set course. Best speed. Sir, Taeho said carefully, they are still pointing weapons at us. Then we better move before they remember we exist. The Soul's Pride turned away from the battle and headed for the asteroids. It was a tiny ship compared to the alien vessels, barely visible against the stars, but something about its casual dismissal of overwhelming force made both fleets pause their fighting. On the bridge of the Dominion flagship, Supreme Admiral Kethvar stared at his screens in disbelief. Did that small vessel just ignore us? His aide, a nervous creature with too many eyes, checked the readings twice. Yes, Admiral. They appear to be heading for the asteroid field in Sector 7. Impossible. No species would show such disrespect to Dominion forces. Meanwhile, on the Hegemony command ship, War Marshal Zexthan had the same problem. The small, alien vessel had dismissed his threats like a parent ignoring a child's tantrum. In 3,000 years of conquest, nothing like this had ever happened. Shall we pursue and destroy them, Marshal? asked his weapons officer. Zex quote then considered this. The mysterious ship was clearly from an unknown species. Its technology seemed primitive, but any race that could travel between stars deserved study before destruction. No. Let them reach the asteroids. We will investigate after we finish with the Dominion dogs. Back on the Soul's Pride, Dae-hyun watched the asteroid field grow larger on his screen. Behind them, the alien fleets had resumed their battle with even greater intensity, as if competing to show which was more dangerous. "Captain," Hee-jin said, "I am detecting unusual energy patterns from both fleets. Their weapons are incredibly advanced." "Good for them. Can we mine enough fuel to get home?" Yoonbi was already calculating. "If we work quickly, yes. But sir, what if they follow us?" Dae-hyun shrugged. "Then we will deal with that problem when it happens. Right now I care more about getting my crew home than impressing aliens with fancy weapons." The Soul's Pride entered the asteroid field and immediately began mining operations. Human engineering was simple compared to alien technology, but it was also flexible. Within hours, mining drones swarmed over the nearest asteroids, gathering everything useful. Dr. Hye-jin studied the energy signatures from the ongoing battle. The alien weapons were centuries beyond human technology, but she noticed something interesting. They followed predictable patterns like they had not changed in a very long time. "Captain, I think these aliens have been fighting the same war for a very long time. Their tactics are advanced but rigid." "That sounds like their problem, not ours." As the Soul's Pride worked, both alien fleets sent small scouting ships to observe. The humans paid them no attention, focusing on their mining operation. When alien scouts came too close to the work area, human mining drones simply moved around them, treating the advanced warships like floating obstacles. This casual indifference had an unexpected effect on the alien observers. Species across the galaxy feared the Dominion and the hegemony. Entire civilizations had fallen to their fleets. Yet these small creatures acted like the galaxy's most powerful forces were barely worth noticing. For the first time in centuries, both sides found themselves wondering who exactly they were dealing with. 3 days later, both alien fleets arrived at the asteroid field. The humans had turned the space rocks into a busy industrial site. Mining ships moved between asteroids, while construction drones built a temporary fuel depot. The Soul's Pride sat in the middle like a queen bee, coordinating the operation. Supreme Admiral Kethvar and War Marshal Zexton both wanted answers. They had fought each other for 3,000 years, but neither had seen anything like these humans. Any normal species would have begged for protection or tried to join the stronger side. These creatures just ignored them and got to work. Dae-hyun received another communication. This time both alien leaders spoke together, which Hye-jin noted was probably the first time in centuries. "Unknown species." Kethavar's voice was formal and cold. "You will cease your illegal mining operations and present yourselves for judgment." "Agreed," rumbled Zexton. "This territory belongs to us. You are thieves and trespassers." Dae-hyun looked around his bridge. His crew had been working without sleep to gather enough fuel for the journey home. They were tired, dirty, and running on instant coffee and determination. "This is interesting," he told his officers. "They both claim the same territory. Taeho, check our scans. Do either of these groups actually live here?" Commander Taeho pulled up the survey data. "No, sir. No colonies. No permanent installations. Just the fleets." Dae-hyun opened a channel to both alien commanders. "Gentlemen, we checked. Nobody lives here. We are taking rocks and ice that nobody was using. If you want to buy some refined metals, we can talk business." The silence that followed was deafening. Ambassador Soo-jin, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "Captain, perhaps I should handle the diplomatic contact." "Go ahead." Soo-jin was Korea's best diplomat, trained to deal with difficult negotiations. She had studied every human culture and mastered the art of finding common ground. But nothing had prepared her for this. "Honored fleet commanders," she began. "I am Ambassador Soo-jin, representing humanity. We apologize for any misunderstanding. We are new to this region of space and unfamiliar with local customs. Perhaps we could arrange a formal meeting to discuss territorial boundaries and trade opportunities. More silence. Then both alien leaders started talking at the same time, their voices overlapping in confusion. Trade opportunities? Kethvar. Sounded like someone had asked him to dance ballet. Lesser species do not trade with the Dominion. They serve or they die. Boundaries? Zexthon was equally baffled. The hegemony takes what it wants. There are no negotiations with inferiors. Doctor. Hejin listened to the translations and frowned. Captain, I think we have a cultural problem. They do not seem to understand the concept of equals. What do you mean? Their entire society is based on dominance. Everything is about who conquers whom. The idea of mutual cooperation is foreign to them. Sujin tried again. Perhaps there has been some confusion. We are not asking to serve anyone. We are offering to trade as equals. This time the response was immediate and angry. Equals. Both alien leaders spoke the word like it was poisonous. No species is equal to us. You will choose a side and submit, or face the consequences. Daehyun had heard enough. Engineer Yunbi, how is our fuel situation? Almost finished, Captain. Another 6 hours. Good. Sujin, tell our new friends that humans do not submit to anyone. If they want to fight, they can have one. If they want to trade, we are open to business. If they want to keep arguing about who is tougher, they can do it without us. Sujin translated this message, though she softened the language slightly. The reaction was explosive. Both fleets moved into attack positions. Hundreds of massive warships surrounded the asteroid field, their weapons charging with deadly light. The human mining operation looked like a few ants surrounded by angry giants. Captain, Tejo reported, both fleets are powering weapons. They appear to be working together for the first time. Fascinating. Hyejin, what can you tell me about their ships? Dr. Hyejin had been studying the alien vessels since they arrived. Their technology is very advanced, Captain. But I notice something strange. All their ships follow the same design patterns. No innovation, no experimentation. Like they stopped improving centuries ago. And their weapons? Powerful but predictable. They seem to rely on overwhelming force rather than tactics or adaptation. Daehyun nodded. Yunbi, what do you think about their technology? Engineer Yunbi had been quietly scanning the alien ships with every sensor available. Captain, their technology is impressive, but it is like looking at a museum. Everything is old and standardized, no creativity. Could you improve it? Easily. Their power systems are inefficient, their weapons overheat, and their shields have obvious weak points. With some human modifications, I could increase their effectiveness by 300%. Interesting. And could you fix our own systems? With their technology. Already working on it, sir. I have adapted some of their shield generators to our power grid. Our defensive capabilities just increased by 500%. The alien fleets finished their threatening display and waited for the humans to panic. Instead, the Soul's Pride continued mining operations, while its crew casually integrated alien technology into their own systems. Var was growing frustrated. Why are they not afraid? His science officer, a creature that looked like a walking crystal, checked the readings again. Admiral, their ship is somehow absorbing and adapting our technology signatures. This should be impossible. What do you mean? They are taking our technology and making it work better than ours does. On the Hegemony flagship, Zexathon was having the same realization. Marshal, the small ship has somehow improved its shields using our own technology. This is unprecedented. The War Marshal studied his screens with growing concern. In 3,000 years of warfare, no enemy had ever adapted hegemony technology so quickly. Most species needed decades just to understand their basic principles. How long have they been studying our designs, he asked. Approximately 4 hours, Marshal. Back on the Soul's Pride, Daehyun made a ship-wide announcement. Attention all crew. We may have a fight on our hands, but remember, we are explorers, not conquerors. These aliens think the universe belongs to whoever has the biggest gun. Let us show them what humans can do when we work together. The crew responded with quiet determination. They were far from home, outnumbered by thousands to one, and facing technology beyond their understanding. But they were also human, which meant they were too stubborn to quit and too creative to fight fair. As both alien fleets prepared to destroy the small human ship, they made a critical error. They assumed that superior technology guaranteed victory. They had forgotten that evolution favors adaptability over strength, and that the most dangerous opponents are often the ones who refuse to follow the rules. The first shots came without warning. Energy beams from both alien fleets converged on the Soul's Pride like spears of light. The human ship should have been vaporized instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The alien weapons struck the Soul's Pride and bounced off harmlessly. The ship's shields, now enhanced with hybrid human-alien technology, absorbed the energy and actually grew stronger. "Report," Dae-hyun called out as his ship shook but survived. Engineer Yoon-bi was grinning at her control panel. "Captain, our modified shields are working perfectly. They are not just stopping their attacks, they are feeding energy back into our systems." "Feeding energy?" "Yes, sir. Every time they shoot us, we get stronger." The alien fleets fired again, pouring even more power into their weapons. The result was the same. The tiny human ship absorbed the attack and kept working. "This is impossible." Admiral Kethvar stared at his screens in disbelief. "Our weapons should destroy any ship that size." His weapons officer, a creature with 6 arms and no visible eyes, checked the readings 3 times. "Admiral, somehow they are using our own energy against us. Their shields are incorporating Dominion technology, but they have made it more efficient." War Marshal Zexthon was having the same problem. "How are they doing this?" "Unknown, Marshal, but our intelligence indicates they have been studying our technology for less than 1 day." "Impossible. It takes our best engineers years to make minor improvements." While the alien commanders argued, the humans were busy. Technician Minho had jury-rigged a weapon system using parts from mining equipment and alien energy readings. It was not elegant, but it worked. "Captain, weapons are ready," Minho reported. "I cannot promise they will work exactly as planned." "What do they do?" "Honestly, sir, I have no idea. I combined our mining lasers with their shield generators and added some spare parts from the coffee machine. It should do something interesting." Dae-hyun looked at his young technician with amazement. "You built weapons out of mining equipment and a coffee machine?" The coffee machine had the best power regulation circuits on the ship. Before Dae-hyun could respond, pilot Nari called from her station. "Captain, they are launching fighter craft. About 2,000 small ships heading our way." "Can our weapons handle that many?" "Only one way to find out, sir." The alien fighters approached in perfect formation, their attack patterns programmed by computers that had calculated optimal strike angles based on thousands of battles. They expected the human ship to either run or die. Instead, Kaminari launched the Soul's Pride directly at the incoming fighters. "What are you doing?" Tai-ho shouted. "Something unpredictable," Nari replied calmly. Her flying made no sense. The Soul's Pride spun, twisted, and dove in patterns that defied military logic. It should have been an easy target for the alien fighters. Instead, their targeting computers could not keep up. Every time they locked onto the human ship, it was suddenly somewhere else. "She is flying like she is drunk," observed Dr. Hyejin. "No," corrected Taeho, studying the tactical display. "She is flying like someone who learned from video games instead of military academy. The patterns are random but effective." Minho fired his improvised weapons. Beams of energy shot out from the Soul's Pride, but not in straight lines. They curved and twisted, bouncing off asteroid surfaces and hitting fighters from impossible angles. "How are you doing that?" Dae-hyun asked. "I use the mining laser guidance systems. They are designed to cut around corners and reach difficult angles. I just scaled them up." The alien fighters had never faced weapons that could shoot around corners. Their formation scattered as impossible shots found targets behind asteroids and around their own ships. But the strangest thing happened next. As alien fighter craft took damage and started to fail, The Soul's Pride moved to rescue the pilots. Nari, what are you doing now? Picking up survivors, Captain. Some of those pilots are still alive. They were trying to kill us 30 seconds ago. Yes, sir. But they are not trying to kill us now. They need help. Admiral Kethvar watched his tactical display with growing confusion. The human ship had somehow neutralized his fighter attack, but instead of pressing their advantage, they were rescuing enemy pilots. This makes no strategic sense, he muttered. His aide agreed. Admiral, they are saving hegemony pilots as well as ours. This behavior is extremely inefficient. On the hegemony flagship, War Marshal Zexthon was equally baffled. Why are they helping enemies? Unknown, Marshal. Perhaps it is some form of psychological warfare. But Dr. Jiwoo, the Soul's Pride's xenobiologist, was learning something important as they brought alien survivors aboard. She studied the rescued pilots with professional curiosity and growing amazement. Captain, these aliens are fascinating. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, but biologically, they have not evolved in thousands of years. What do you mean? I mean they are exactly the same as their ancestors. No adaptation, no change, no improvement. They have reached a biological dead end. And that is significant because humans are still evolving, sir. We adapt to new situations constantly. These aliens stopped adapting when they developed advanced technology. Meanwhile, Engineer Yunbi was examining the damaged alien fighters. Captain, their technology is amazing but also incredibly rigid. Every ship is identical. No customization, no individual modifications. Can you fix them? Better than that, sir. I can improve them. Within hours, Yunbi had the alien fighters running at double efficiency. She replaced their standard power systems with human adaptive technology and upgraded their weapons with mining equipment modifications. The rescued alien pilots watched this impossible scene with growing wonder. Humans were not only saving their enemies, they were making their technology better than it had ever been. One of the Dominion pilots, a creature that looked like a walking flower, approached Ambassador Su Jin. Human diplomat, why do you help those who attacked you? Su Jin thought about this question. Because you stopped attacking us. When someone needs help, we help them. This is normal for humans. But we are enemies. Were you born enemies? No. We were born into the service of the Dominion. Then you were not born enemies. You were taught to be enemies. Teaching can be changed. This simple conversation spread through both fleets as the rescued pilots shared their experiences. For the first time in thousands of years, soldiers from opposing sides were talking to each other instead of shooting. Yun-B broadcast on all frequencies. Any alien ships that want better technology, we are happy to share. Also, we have coffee. And instant noodles if anyone is hungry. The offer was so absurd that both fleet commanders initially ignored it. But then something unprecedented happened. Small groups of ships from both sides approached the Soul's Pride under flags of truce. They want to talk, reported Su Jin. About what? About coffee, technology, and apparently something called democracy. 6 months later, the asteroid field had become something no one expected. The first truly neutral territory in galactic history. The Soul's Pride had grown into a small space station with the help of alien technology and human ingenuity. More importantly, it had become a refuge. Colonial Governor Sang-woo arrived on the second human ship to find a remarkable scene. Aliens from dozens of species worked alongside humans, building something that had never existed before. A free society in space. Captain Dae-hyun, what exactly have you built here? Sang-woo asked as he toured the station. We needed a place to refuel and repair, Dae-hyun replied. It grew from there. The station was unlike anything in galactic history. Humans and aliens worked together as equals, sharing knowledge and resources. There were no masters and servants, no rigid hierarchies. Everyone contributed according to their abilities. Chief Engineer Boram, who had arrived with Sang-woo's ship, was amazed by what she found. The technology here is incredible. They have combined human adaptability with alien advancement to create something completely new. She was right. Human engineers had taken alien designs and improved them beyond recognition. Alien scientists had learned human innovation techniques and applied them to problems that had stumped their species for centuries. Together, they were creating technology that neither side could have imagined alone. But the most important resident of the station was not human. Kyung-soo had been a slave in the hegemony for over 200 years. His species had been conquered so long ago that most of them had forgotten what freedom meant. Until he met humans. Governor Sang-woo, Kyung-soo said in broken Korean, "Humans teach strange things. They say all beings are equal. They say we can choose our own path. What do you think about these ideas?" "I think they are dangerous and wonderful." Kyung-soo had become the station's first alien student of human philosophy. He studied concepts like individual rights, democratic government, and personal freedom with the intensity of someone discovering fire. More importantly, he was sharing these ideas with others. The station's mess hall had become an accidental university. Every day, aliens from both fleets would arrive to discuss human concepts over coffee and instant noodles. Ambassador Soo Jin found herself teaching political science to creatures she could barely pronounce the names of. "Democracy means everyone gets to vote," she explained to a group of Dominion soldiers. "Everyone's opinion matters equally." A creature that looked like a walking crystal raised what might have been a hand. "But what if someone makes a wrong choice?" "Then everyone learns from the mistake and tries again." "You do not punish wrong choices? We learn from them. Punishment does not create wisdom, only fear." These conversations were being recorded and broadcast throughout both fleets. For species that had known only rigid command structures, the idea that authority could be questioned was revolutionary. Dr. Jiwoo made another important discovery. The aliens were not just learning human ideas, they were beginning to evolve again. Species that had been biologically stagnant for millennia were showing signs of genetic change. "Captain, this is incredible," she reported. "Exposure to human concepts is somehow triggering evolutionary responses in alien species. They are adapting at the cellular level. Is that good or bad?" "It is life, sir. For the first time in thousands of years, these species are growing and changing instead of just existing." The changes were not limited to biology. Both the Dominion and hegemony fleets were experiencing problems they had never faced before. Soldiers were questioning orders. Officers were debating strategy instead of blindly following doctrine, and entire ships were requesting permission to visit the human station. Admiral Kethvar found his authority challenged for the first time in his career. "The humans are corrupting our people," he complained to his staff. "They spread dangerous ideas about equality and choice." His science officer, who had been secretly reading human philosophy texts, asked a forbidden question. "Admiral, what if the ideas are not dangerous? What if they are simply different?" The question hung in the air like an accusation. Kethvar realized that the corruption had reached even his inner circle. War-Marshal Zexthon was having similar problems. His soldiers were forming discussion. Groups his officers were experimenting with human-inspired tactics, and worst of all, they were communicating with Dominion forces about shared interests. "This must stop," he declared. "The humans are destroying the natural order." But his weapons officer, a veteran of 1,000 battles, replied, "Marshal, what if the natural order was wrong? The revolution was spreading faster than either empire could contain." Star systems that had been loyal for centuries began declaring independence, not to join the enemy, but to create their own democratic governments based on human principles. Governor Sang-woo found himself governing not just human colonists, but representatives from 47 different species. They had created the first interspecies democracy in galactic history, and they had done it completely by accident. "We never intended to start a revolution," Daehyun told him privately. "The best revolutions are usually accidental," Sang-woo replied. "We just treated everyone like people instead of aliens." Chief Engineer Boram was documenting everything for Earth's government. The technology sharing alone would advance human civilization by centuries, but the social implications were even more significant. "We are not just witnessing first contact," she wrote in her report. "We are witnessing the birth of a new type of civilization, one based on cooperation instead of conquest." The human station had grown into a small city in space. Markets sold goods from dozens of worlds, schools taught children of multiple species, and research labs worked on problems that no single species could solve alone. But both galactic empires were growing desperate. The loss of territory and loyalty threatened their very existence. Secret meetings were held, ancient enemies began talking, and for the first time in 3,000 years, the Dominion and Hegemony prepared to work together. Their target was obvious. The human infection had to be destroyed before it spread further. Kyung-Su brought the news to Governor Sang-woo. His network of freed slaves had infiltrated both empires, carrying human ideas like seeds of revolution. But they had also discovered the empire's plans. "Governor, they are forming alliance," Kyung-Su said urgently. "All ships, both sides. They come to destroy station and kill humans." "How many ships?" "All of them. Every ship in galaxy." Sang-woo looked out at his impossible city in space. Humans and aliens worked together in harmony, building something beautiful and free. In a few weeks, the largest military force in galactic history would arrive to destroy it all. But as he watched, he noticed something the empires had not considered. The humans were not alone anymore. Hundreds of alien species had tasted freedom and found it good. They would not give it up without a fight. The revolution had grown beyond anyone's control, and it was about to face its greatest test. The combined armada was the largest military force in galactic history. Over 5,000 ships from both the Dominion and Hegemony approached the human station with enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. For the first time in 3 millennia, the ancient enemies were working together. Admiral Yu Jin commanded the human defense fleet, which seemed laughably small in comparison. 50 ships, most of them converted civilian vessels with improvised weapons and hybrid technology. But Yu Jin was not worried about the numbers. "Captain Dae-hyun," she said over the communication link, "are our allies in position?" Dae-hyun, now commanding the expanded space station, checked his displays. "Admiral, we have confirmation from 23 star systems. They are ready." The allies were not what anyone expected. Former slaves, deserters from both empires, entire colonies that had declared independence. They had spent months preparing for this moment, learning human tactics and adapting alien technology with human creativity. On the approaching Dominion flagship, Admiral Kethavar studied intelligence reports with growing concern. "The rebels have been busy. They have fortified 17 star systems and built defensive networks throughout the sector." War Marshal Zexton nodded grimly from his own bridge. "Our spies report that they are using human tactics, decentralized command, adaptive strategies, psychological warfare. This will not be a simple conquest." Both commanders had spent months studying human military philosophy, and what they learned disturbed them. Humans did not fight like civilized species. They ignored rules of engagement, used unconventional weapons, and treated warfare like a creative exercise rather than a formal ritual. Philosopher Wu Jin had arrived on the third human ship, carrying something more dangerous than any weapon: ideas. As the alien armada approached, she began broadcasting across all frequencies in dozens of languages. "Soldiers of the galaxy," her voice carried across space, "you fight for empires that see you as tools. But you are not tools. You are individuals, with your own thoughts, dreams, and rights. You have the power to choose your own path." The broadcast reached every ship in both fleets. Soldiers who had never questioned orders heard words that sparked something dangerous: doubt. "Fight if you must," Wu Jin continued, "but fight for yourselves, not for masters who care nothing for your lives. Remember that the person in the ship next to you has family, hopes, and fears just like you do. Are they really your enemy?" Admiral Kethavar tried to jam the transmission, but human technology had learned to adapt. The signal bounced off asteroids, relay stations, and even the hull plating of his own ships. "Turn off that propaganda," he ordered. Sir, we cannot. They are using our own communication networks against us. On the space station, President Da-Un prepared for her first and possibly last speech as leader of the Galactic Democratic Union. The title still felt strange to her. 6 months ago, she had been a translator on a diplomatic mission. Now she spoke for hundreds of billions of beings who had chosen freedom over servitude. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, we face those who would return us to the darkness of the past. They offer you the certainty of slavery in exchange for the uncertainty of freedom. But we have seen what free beings can accomplish when they work together. The evidence was all around them. The space station had become a marvel of cooperative engineering. Technologies that both empires had declared impossible were now routine. Medical advances had eliminated diseases that had plagued certain species for centuries. Art, music, and literature flourished in ways that rigid societies could never achieve. As the armada closed in, something unexpected happened. Ships began breaking formation. Not just a few deserters, but entire squadrons turned away from their fleets and headed toward the rebel systems. What is happening? Kethvar demanded. His aide checked the communications channels with trembling appendages. Admiral, they are declaring independence. Whole battle groups are defecting to the humans. Impossible. Sir, they say they refuse to fight for empires that treat them like property. The same thing was happening in the hegemony fleet. War Marshal Zexthon watched in horror as his most loyal units abandoned their posts. His own officers were debating whether to continue the attack. But the greatest shock was yet to come. The human fleet did not deploy in standard battle formation. Instead, they scattered throughout the system, taking positions that made no tactical sense according to traditional warfare. Admiral Yu Jin had learned from months of studying alien tactics. The empires expected either a desperate defensive stand or a quick surrender. They were not prepared for something completely different. All ships, she broadcast, begin Operation Democracy. The human ships began transmitting not weapons fire, but information. Every frequency carried broadcasts of life in the free systems, aliens working alongside humans, children of different species playing together, former enemies sharing meals and ideas. More importantly, they broadcast the names and personal stories of the soldiers in the Imperial fleets. Human intelligence had spent months gathering information about individual crew members, their families, their hopes and dreams. Soldier Vex Kalar of the Dominion cruiser Eternal Glory, came one broadcast. Your daughter Silara is studying human medicine on Freedom Station. She wants you to know that she loves you and hopes you will come home safely. The psychological impact was devastating. Soldiers who had been anonymous parts of a war machine suddenly became individuals with personal connections to the enemy. Commanders found their crews weeping, deserting, or openly refusing orders. The battle, when it finally began, was unlike anything in galactic history. The Imperial forces still vastly outnumbered the rebels, but their unity was shattered. Ships fought half-heartedly. Crews sabotaged their own weapons and entire formations simply stopped fighting. The human tactics were equally unprecedented. Instead of trying to destroy enemy ships, they targeted communication arrays and command centers, trying to disable rather than kill. When Imperial vessels were crippled, human rescue ships immediately moved to assist survivors. Why are they helping us? Asked a Dominion gunner whose ship had been disabled. Because that is what humans do, replied his rescuer, a former hegemony slave who now wore the uniform of the Democratic Union. They help people who need help. The turning point came when Admiral Kethvar's own flagship was surrounded by defecting vessels. His crew, inspired by broadcasts about freedom and dignity, had taken control of the ship and placed him under arrest. Admiral, his former aide said sadly, we cannot fight for an empire that sees us as disposable. The humans have shown us a better way. War Marshal Zexthon faced the same revolt. His most trusted officers informed him that the war was over, not because they had been defeated, but because they chose to stop fighting. Within days, both empires collapsed. Not from military conquest, but from the simple realization that their subjects no longer believed in the system. Across the galaxy, Star systems declared independence and formed democratic governments based on human principles. The revolution had succeeded not through superior firepower, but through superior ideas. President Dayun found herself leading a galaxy-wide federation of free worlds. The former empires became just two more member systems among hundreds of others. Their citizens finally free to choose their own leaders and destinies. Captain Dae-hyun, now an old man, watched from his retirement home as human children played, with alien friends in integrated schools. The sight never failed to amaze him. His species had stumbled into galactic politics by accident and somehow changed everything. When young reporters asked him about humanity's greatest achievement, his answer was always the same. We treated everyone like neighbors instead of threats. Turns out that was revolutionary. The galaxy had learned something important from humanity, that strength comes not from the ability to conquer others, but from the willingness to work together as equals. It was a simple lesson that transformed everything. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all.